Wideout Mike Wallace says he is the fastest man in the NFL. I'm Jim Basquel. You know, he changed over from the Miami Dolphins to the Minnesota Vikings. James Walker covers the Miami Dolphins for ESPN. And, you know, the changeover in the offseason, you can call it a trade of sorts. Greg Jennings goes to Miami. It is Wallace in Minnesota. Now, you never know how the question, James, is posed, but he did say, without a doubt, I'm the fastest player in the NFL. How much do you suppose this has to do, though, with the fact that this might be a better fit, him with Teddy Bridgewater in Minnesota versus with Ryan Tannehill, who maybe is not known for throwing the deep ball?
Yeah, and take it from a person who's covered Mike Wallace throughout his entire career, early in Pittsburgh and also later with the Miami Dolphins. He was very happy playing with Ben Roethlisberger, who was a guy that can absolutely let it fly. Even though they were playing in inclement weather, Mike Wallace was always a threat to make the deep play and score a lot of touchdowns that way. In Miami, you know, he made a change of quarterbacks to Ryan Tannehill, and that just wasn't his specialty. So eventually, over the years, frustration grew. He wasn't able to make those deep plays. A lot of fans down here in South Florida were blaming Mike Wallace for not making deep plays, even though it was more so on the quarterback because he was getting open by 2 or 3 steps. So I think the ability, you know, going back to Minnesota and the ability for Teddy Bridgewater to throw that deep ball, that's going to open up a lot more big plays for Mike Wallace, and I think he's going to be a happier receiver in Minnesota.
Yeah, he told the Pioneer Press that his personal best in the 40-yard dash is 4.21 seconds. That's getting it done. Do you suppose that that's going to be their game plan with him, just run him vertical? And Teddy Bridgewater's known for throwing that deep ball. Perhaps that's a perfect marriage with these two players?
Yeah, I think that's going to be a majority of the game plan. And, you know, in Miami, they really asked him to do a lot of things that he wasn't necessarily his forte. A lot of underneath routes, a lot of quick hitches, quick hook plays, things like that. His yards per catch was down to some of his career lows in Miami. But to Mike Wallace's credit, he did everything he was asked to do. It was just eventually frustration boiled over in Week 17 when he had that sideline spat, and that sort of marked the end of his career here in Miami. But now, as you mentioned, playing with Teddy Bridgewater, a guy who can throw deep, that's going to open a lot more things up and keep Mike Wallace happy, because I think when he's making those big plays, when he's running by defenders and getting the ball, which he did a lot in Miami, he just didn't make that connection because Tannehill either underthrew him, overthrew him, or threw it out of bounds, things like that. But Teddy Bridgewater has more deep ball accuracy, and I think that's going to definitely pay dividends in Minnesota.
Yeah, no question about it. Didn't live up to the big money contract in Miami. He's hoping a change of scenery will change his fortunes like they once were in Pittsburgh. James Walker covers the Miami Dolphins for ESPN. James, thanks for the insight.
Always fun. Talk to you soon.
All right, man. Don't forget to keep up with the Vikings and Dolphins and all things NFL by keeping it locked to the NFL page right here on ESPN.com. I'm Jim Basquel.